If you could choose fame or fortune, which would it be? Many people would choose fame except those who've experienced fame firsthand. Giving up your privacy and having your every move documented in the press can take its toll, especially on young, vibrant child actors or those that haven't been in the business for decades. Fortunately for most of these celebrities, they were able to acquire their fortune through fame before ditching the latter and leading somewhat normal lives out of the spotlight. Let's slide right on in here at number 10, Freddie Prinze Jr. This former heartthrob, now married to former co-star Sarah Michelle Gellar, was the face of the 90s and most teen magazines to boot. I don't think it was possible to go to like a newsstand and not see Freddie Prinze Jr.'s face on it back then. Prinze Jr., whose father is also famous, originally wanted to do culinary school, but ended up landing major roles in movies instead. By 2002 he then married Gellar, and they both experienced the ups and downs of the industry together. Prinze Jr. made a brief comeback by co-starring with his wife in Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed, both of which were huge hits and cemented the pair's legacy in film. Since then, Prinze Jr. has essentially traded his movie career for family time. Sarah Michelle Gellar gave birth to a daughter in 2009 and a son in 2012, and he hasn't really appeared on the big screen since 2008. He's published a couple of cookbooks since then, and him and his wife have successfully stepped out of the spotlight, but he still works as a producer and a voiceover actor from time to time. At number 9 on this list we have Jeff Cohen. If you don't remember the classic cult film The Goonies, take some time to watch it. It's a good movie. It's a good movie, I promise you, it's great. Chunk, one of the more memorable characters in The Goonies, is still famous for that role, although he was a prominent child star in the 80s, appearing in several TV shows and even voicing roles for Scooby-Doo. As an adult, Jeff Cohen has removed himself from the limelight and focused on his career as an entertainment lawyer and partner of a firm in LA. But that doesn't mean he's necessarily chosen a less lucrative career. Lawyers may not be big names most of the time, but they can make a pretty penny without all the press attention. At number 8 on our list we have Frankie Muniz. Frankie decided to take a different route from his co-stars like Bryan Cranston, who famously became Walter White and left Hollywood to pursue another really cool career path. He ended up becoming a race car driver, and a pretty good one actually. In 2006 he joined Jensen Motorsport as a race car driver, and according to People, completed the Champ Car World Series. He also made his way to the highly televised Las Vegas Grand Prix. According to People, the actor has endured several concussions from competing in the dangerous sport, and then in 2009 he suffered a serious car crash. This ultimately led to 2 mini strokes, one in 2009 and one in 2012. As a result, he's experiencing crippling memory loss. But his mom and fiance Paige Price work with him to help remember his past life events and to stay positive. Frankie said that he would go back to acting for a Malcolm in the Middle reboot, and he starred on Dancing with the Stars a few seasons back. But it's been generally quiet in Hollywood for Frankie Muniz. Coming in hot at lucky number 7 we have Dylan Sprouce, who I have actually seen in person this one time when I was in New York, and I was like, ah, there he is. And I waved at him and he waved back. Both Dylan and Cole Sprouse stepped away from acting following their starring roles as Zac and Cody Martin on the Disney Channel's franchise The Sweet Life of Zac and Cody. While Cole eventually returned to the small screen with a starring role in the CW's Riverdale, Dylan has made a life off-screen as the co-founder of New York's All Wise Meadery. Dylan also took a break from acting to attend New York University from 2011 to 2015, where he studied video game design. In an interview with Vanity Fair in 2018, Dylan stated, "After graduating, I realized that it's something I really loved doing, and it was also a big business opportunity. I was thinking about ways to invest my money, and I thought, well, if there's anything to invest your money in, alcohol's not a bad thing to invest in." Yeah, see, meadery is beer. Yeah, he makes a good point. I mean, there's always gonna be people who drink beer, right? I drink beer, you drink beer. Dylan occasionally makes short indie films, probably just because he thinks it's fun, but he's ditched Hollywood in favor of bringing mead back to the masses. At number 6 we're bringing you Taylor Momsen. You know you loved it, XOXO Gossip Girl character and former child star Taylor Momsen began her transition out of Hollywood while she was still a series regular on the CW's teen soap Gossip Girl, which explains why Lil J suddenly started looking like Gwen Stefani. Taylor formally announced that she quit acting in 2011 to focus on her punk rock career with her band The Pretty Reckless. 9 years later, in 2020, The Pretty Reckless are still rocking on and preparing for the release of their 4th album. True to her word, Taylor has not returned to acting in any capacity. Momsen started modeling at age 2 and landed her first big commercial for Shake and Bake at age 3. Wow, that makes me feel like I haven't done enough in life. Damn it. She continued to act throughout her childhood and starred as Cindy Lou Who in the 2000 film How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Momsen told the Daily Beast in 2014, "When I got to a place where I realized I was in control of my own life and I had found the right band and everything was coming to fruition, it wasn't even a question. I was going to quit my day job. I came to set every day with a fucking guitar, but I'm very lucky that the producers were nice enough to write me out, allow me to tour and pursue my passion because they very could have easily told me to go fuck myself and keep me on the show." We are at the halfway point on this list. At number 5 we have Jack Gleeson. Jack Gleeson is best known for his role as Joffrey Baratheon on HBO's Game of Thrones. After his character was killed off, he decided to step away from the spotlight at the age of 21 so he could pursue his education. Gleeson told Entertainment Weekly he had been acting since he was 8 years old and that acting isn't what he wants to do long term. He said acting was just a hobby for him. Gleeson went on to complete his studies in theology and philosophy. The Herald Sun reported he now works with a small theater company. For Gleeson, money truly isn't everything, he told the Irish Independent. "I'm happy to sacrifice a big paycheck for my happiness, if that's not too corny a thing to say." It's probably more naive than mature to say that, maybe, but that's how I feel. To be fair though, once you have an estimated net worth of $8 million at the tender age of 21, you're probably financially secure enough to pursue just like any career you want at that point. We don't care about money when we already have money. At number 4, Karyn Parsons. Karyn Parsons is another star you've likely seen on those popular 80s and 90s shows. She's a former star of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. From 1990 to 1996, Karyn Parsons played the eldest Banks sibling who, much like the shopping mall she loved to frequent, lives squarely in a void of shallow consumerism. Hilary Banks was the Gordon Gekko of Rodeo Drive and represented an American dream in which even a privileged, valley-adjacent girl with no common sense could stumble into a career as a national talk show host. But in 1996, after 6 seasons and 148 episodes, NBC cancelled The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and the close-knit cast went their separate ways. Parsons carved out her own opportunity in the form of a feminist sitcom called Lush Life that she co-created, produced, and starred in with pal Lori Petty. But the series premiered to dismal reviews, mostly from male critics, in September of 1996, and after just 4 episodes aired, Fox pulled the plug on the show. She moved on to non-profit work after that, and she founded Sweet Blackberry, a non-profit focused on teaching children about Black history. 14 years later, Sweet Blackberry has grown from a passion project into a thriving organization with a series of animated short films available on DVD and Netflix, narrated by the likes of Alfre Woodard, Chris Rock, and Queen Latifah. Parsons also added children's novelist to her extensive resume. Her first book, How High the Moon, came out this March and tells the story of a light-skinned black girl growing up in the Jim Crow era South. At number 3 we have Kevin Jonas. You might hear the name The Jonas Brothers and still think about the band and its members as being super famous still, but although Kevin Jonas rose to stardom during his time as a performer with his brothers, after the band broke up in 2013, Jonas focused on creating apps and other business ventures with his fortune from Joe Bro days. He created an app called Youd, which displays nearby restaurants serving the type of food you pick from the menu. It also features the restaurant's Yelp rating and phone number so you can conveniently place an order. One that he's been thoroughly invested in has been Jonas Werner. It's a real estate development and construction company that he established soon after the breakup of the band. He even went on and sold a house that he custom made for just above $2 million. In addition, Kevin is the co-CEO of The Blue Market. It's a business venture mainly focused on communications and pushing them to actively be visible in social media to gain a following. So far it has over 200 million followers from both advertisers and influencers. The company went on to partner with We Heart It, which is a video sharing app with the goal of increasing the number of followers that it currently has. That is a little entrepreneur over there, little Jonas entrepreneur. Next on this list at number 2, Nikki Blonsky. Nikki Blonsky's Hollywood breakthrough could easily be mistaken for the plot of a movie. In 2007, she was scooping ice cream at Cold Stone Creamery when she learned that she'd been cast as Tracy Turnblad in the cinematic reboot of Hairspray. Blonsky's career has experienced a few lulls in the past decade, but the singer-slash-actor is still out there hustling. Over the years, as Blonsky's acting roles have become fewer and farther between, rumors have circulated from time to time about her alternative employment. One that gained popular traction was the idea that Blonsky had begun working at a real hair salon. The rumor was bolstered by a picture that surfaced which appeared to show Blonsky sweeping in a salon. But the truth kind of remains murky at best. In December of 2011, the star tweeted, "It's true, I'm working at Superstar Salon as a makeup artist and more. I'm proud to be working and helping pay my bills, but I never lose sight of my dreams." She immediately followed that tweet with another to the same effect saying, "Just because I'm part-time working doesn't mean I'm gonna give up on my dreams. Don't give up on yours. I might book something big soon, keep positive." Sounds like she's still pining for a career in Hollywood, but she's not living in the spotlight anymore. And the moment you have all been waiting for! At number 1, Cameron Diaz. After Cameron Diaz appeared in the 2014 film Annie, she seemingly kinda disappeared from Hollywood, which is so weird because I didn't realize that she did disappear from Hollywood, but I guess she kinda did. She's now explaining why. She told InStyle magazines, "I started experiencing fame when I was 22, so 25 years ago, that is a long time. The way I look at it is that I've given more than half of my life to the public, and I feel it's okay for me to take time for myself now to reorganize and choose how I want to come back into the world, if I decide to. I don't miss performing." Cameron Diaz first burst onto the Hollywood scene when she started in 1994's The Mask opposite Jim Carrey. Diaz enjoyed a 20-year career with plenty of iconic hits, including 1997's My Best Friend's Wedding, 1998's There's Something About Mary, and 2001's Vanilla Sky, just to name a few. Diaz has also been enjoying married life. She tied the knot with Good Charlotte musician Benji Madden, and he's now 40 years old. The couple live a quiet life away from the spotlight and are rarely seen. And you know what? I think they're probably happy. They say that when you become famous, your life is no longer your own. Is it surprising then that many well-known public figures have chosen to give up on fame and live lives away from the spotlight? Wouldn't it be nice if being famous didn't mean your life doesn't belong to you? Coming in at number 10, Vanilla Ice. Ice Ice Baby. Remember the anthem of like everything cool and the motto of the chill life? We have all burned the dance floor to this blockbuster. It's probably one of the most famous songs of all time. When he was at the top of his money and fame game, Robert Matthew Van Winkle, yeah, that is his actual full name, bought a bunch of properties. That gave him an idea. He is now a real estate investor and home innovator. He also trains people on how to analyze the market. He realized that selling off the property got him a heck of a lot of money, so he decided to make a career out of it. From hip hop to houses. I shocked the world with this change. You can actually catch him in the recent Netflix film The Wrong Missy in a cameo, but this guy really gave up fame to be an average Joe. At number 9 on our list, this dude made October 3rd famous. We are talking about Jonathan Bennett from Mean Girls. Every girl wanted this guy. I mean, he's cute. Not just in Mean Girls, but like he's like one of the hottest guys I think I've ever seen on screen. Remember him as Regina George's boyfriend? This guy won over the female lead with his gorgeous looks and the kind of smile that makes you go a little weak in the knees. But he had a totally unexpected passion, and he pursued it eventually, and today he's a spin class instructor. You heard that right. Imagine how popular his class must be. No attendance issues, I bet. I kinda wanna take his class. And I hate spin. Up next at number 8, Mara Wilson. Mara Wilson won the hearts of millions with her epic portrayal of Matilda, a little girl stuck with a mismatched, unloving adoptive family who discovers her magical superpowers thanks to her suffering. Wilson became a star overnight and took a place in the Hollywood Hall of Fame. But even in the face of flashing lights, her mind was set on another dream. She turned her back on the famous life. Wilson gave up acting at the peak of her young and wildly successful career to pursue writing. She gained experience and honed her talent for words. She's now a published author and does this full time. Wilson is also a spokeswoman for depression, anxiety, other mental disorders, and the LGBTQ community. Coming in hot at number 7 on this list, another blast from the past and a seriously famous child actor, Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin was truly the most famous kid on the Hollywood block after his first ever Home Alone movie. Macaulay landed a fan following so large he was at par with his adult counterparts, but there were speculations that the child celebrity went down the road of drugs and addiction as he grew up, weakening his status in the world of cinema. Macaulay eventually decided to go with the flow. He retired from the spotlight after years of harassment by the paparazzi and got on the road, touring with artists as they go from one destination to another to perform for different crowds. He's now an official roadie, taking one day at a time, chillin' without a care. People might say they were crazy to give up everything, but no price is too high to live the way you want. At number 6, we're bringing you Kris Humphries. Kris Humphries was a basketball journeyman. The Minneapolis-born athlete played for 9 different professional teams, including stints on both the New Jersey and Brooklyn Nets. He never once played for his hometown team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. But then Kim Kardashian changed everything. Humphries married Kim Kardashian, and suddenly the spotlight shifted to him. He was regularly making tabloids, dealing with weirdly specific on-court heckles, and getting harassed in public. The two filed for divorce 72 days later. And when Humphries retired from the NBA, he moved back home and started franchising fast casual restaurants. We are at the halfway point on this list, and at number 5 we've got my favorite person in the world, Audrey Hepburn. Everyone had the Breakfast at Tiffany's poster in their dorm room, and everyone has a little black dress in their closet. It is all thanks to the classic Hollywood style and influence of Audrey Hepburn. But many people forget she retired just a few years after her career peak. Audrey Hepburn had worked with the United Nations Children's Fund, or UNICEF, for all her adult life, crediting them with assisting her as a child in the war-torn Netherlands. But in 1988, after her screen retirement, she was made an official ambassador and went on several constructive field missions. Audrey is best remembered for being one of the most iconic film actresses ever, but she gave up on the spotlight and acting and used her notoriety to bring attention to charities and human rights issues. Ugh, she's just my favorite. I love her so much. At number 4, we have Amanda Bynes. It seemed like Amanda Bynes would become one of Hollywood's unfortunate cautionary tales. After breaking through in TV shows like All That and movies like She's the Man, Bynes descended into a public breakdown. Later, she got her mental health on track and started striving toward a new career. Spurred in part by a brief 2007 fashion line, Bynes enrolled at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in 2014. 4 years later, Bynes graduated with an associate's degree. She's also apologized for her public erratic behavior, vowing to turn her life around with a new eye on fashion. However, she unfortunately took a turn from the worst in recent years and months, and I wouldn't go as far as to say she's living a normal life, but she's definitely out of the spotlight these days. At number 3, Hayden Christiensen. This next star was offered a lot of opportunities after the Star Wars films, but he turned them all down. Actor Hayden Christiensen decided to buy land in Ontario, Canada, and started working on his own farm. Shout out to Ontario, that is where we currently are, that's where our studios are. He later started a clothing company, launched a production company, and acted in a film called First Kill in 2017. It seems like he might have wanted to come back into the fame he once knew, but he's been pretty low-key since. At number 2 on this list, keeping with the Star Wars theme, Jake Lloyd. The name Jake Lloyd might not be instantly familiar to the vast majority of people, but he will be recognizable as the face of Anakin Skywalker in The Phantom Menace. Lloyd also appeared in several other movies such as Jingle All the Way, but then quit acting due to the bad experiences he had after the Star Wars film released. Apparently other children were very mean to him. They would make the sound of the lightsaber every time they saw him. You would think that kids would think that's cool, but I guess not. So he attended college where he studied film. In 2015 he was arrested after leading police on a high-speed chase in South Carolina, and he was transported from jail to a psychiatric facility after being diagnosed with schizophrenia. And the moment you have all been waiting for, at number 1 on this list we have Jamie Lynn Spears, sister of Britney Spears. Jamie Lynn had her time in the spotlight with her own TV show, Zoe 101. Jamie Lynn Spears surprised her fans when she announced that she was pregnant because, well, she was 16 at the time. When her Nickelodeon show finished, she learned that she was pregnant. She walked away from fame, and a lot of people weren't okay with that because people thought she was glamorizing, teen pregnancy, and a lot of her fans were younger. She ended up walking away from the fame in an attempt to escape the scrutiny, and years later she shared her thought process at the time with Glamour. She said, "I just wanted to get away from it as much as I could, to just go away and be a mom and figure out what I wanted, and to earn a sense of respect back for myself. Move to a town in the middle of nowhere and just raise my child. All I could be was a good mother." She is now married with 2 children.
It's no secret that the pandemic has affected almost every industry in the world one way or another. The gaming industry has seen a huge uptick with everyone being stuck at home. Retail shops have closed down due to people not being able to work, therefore not having funds to purchase the goods. And of course, the film and TV and live entertainment industries have completely tanked because, well, Corona and all. So to no surprise, given the circumstances of not really being able to work on top of the politics that have appeared to pretty much ruin what was once referred to as the City of Angels, it seems Los Angeles has become quite literally a living hell. It's not nearly as safe as it used to be, with drug use appearing to be at an all-time high, as well as homelessness, with people literally not being able to afford a place to live. It seems Los Angeles is no longer the hub for celebrities it once was. Will it ever recover? Who knows? Starting us off at number 10, we got Joe Rogan. I think one of the first notable celebrities to leave the entire state of California, and vocally do so. Rogan is known as the guy from Fear Factor to some, and a podcast host to others. To most, he's known as a bro, but to me, he's the best UFC announcer, right behind Jon Anik. I love you, John. All joking aside here, guys, Rogan, who recently signed his $100 million deal to have his podcast exclusively on Spotify, decided he was going to move to Texas, which seems to be a popular destination for a couple people on this list. It seems living in California, you get used to the warm weather, but Texas and California appear to be very different, especially when it comes to politics. Used to be total opposites, but it seems that's changing. Either way, when speaking on the move, Rogan explained, I quote, "I want to go somewhere in the center of the country, somewhere you have a little more freedom. I think where we live right here in Los Angeles is a little overcrowded. I think it's exposing the fact that it's a real issue when you look at the number of people that are catching COVID because of the overpopulation issue. When you look at the traffic, the economic disparity, the homelessness problem, I think there's too many people. Every mayor does a job of doing it because I don't think anyone can do a great job of it. I think there's certain things you're gonna have to deal with when you have a population of whatever the F LA is." For the record, guys, LA's population is about like 12.5 million at the time of this recording. On to number 9, Zac Efron. Yeah, the guy from High School Musical, remember him? Who could forget him? Oh, what a face. Now, I'm not sure if you guys saw his Netflix show Down to Earth with Zac Efron, but it was actually very interesting and educational. He seems like a total bro, and I loved every minute of it. Zac, if you're watching this, DM me. I feel like we could hang out and be friends. Only issue here is that I'm living in Toronto, and Zac, he recently moved out of Hollywood and is now living in Australia. I mean, they still got Zoom. Regardless, Efron here appeared to be on his way to being one of Hollywood's biggest stars, and for a while he was absolutely killing it. Then he decided to head to Byron Bay just to take some time off. With no projects, he was taking it easy, and then the pandemic hit. Zac decided to extend his visa and canceled his flight home to LA in August after making an offer on a home in Australia. Seems like he's gonna be kicking things down there for the next little while. Up next at number 8, Julia Roberts. Talk about a pretty woman. Only a few of you guys will get that one. Reports claim that Roberts and her husband, cinematographer Danny Moder, were selling a handful of their properties in order to deal with the lack of income due to the pandemic. Specifically, In Touch magazine claimed they were hurting financially and selling their homes, but it seems that was just tabloids doing what they do, making up some stories to sell the magazine. That being said, Roberts and her family did sell their New York and Hawaii properties in 2015 and 2016 respectively, but that didn't have much to do with financials. However, the family did move out of Los Angeles and decided to relocate to a smaller home in San Francisco. Now, if you're normal, smaller maybe, means she went from, I don't know, like a $5 million house to a $3 million house, maybe. She's a celebrity, so I'm gonna assume it's a lot more. Like, obviously, the average person isn't living that much of a house, that expensive, but because she's a celebrity, I'm gonna say it's a little more costly, right? Well, smaller for Julia Roberts is apparently still a home worth over $8 million. So there's that. Maybe one day, my friends, maybe one day we'll get to that level. Maybe not. On to number 7, Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton. This power couple appears to have left LA during the pandemic, but have since returned due to various work commitments. Still, while they had the time off, Blake, Gwen, and her 3 kids decided to head over to Blake's 1,200-acre ranch in Oklahoma. Gotta make sure I get that one right. Where they resided until about July. You'll see why I said that at the end of this video during the comment replies. While speaking with Ellen, Shelton explained, I quote, like everybody else in the world, just pulled the plug on our plans and went to Oklahoma. It was cool because Gwen, the time that she spent in Oklahoma over the years has been like a week here, a week there. But she got to be there and actually see it go from pretty much winter to spring to summer and see some seasons change. And it's actually the first time that I've been able to be there for that long to see that all happen again. So we loved it. It's unclear if they're going to make a permanent move there, but given the rigorous work schedules, I'm not entirely sure that'd be possible. Still, with that being said, as we've clearly seen, this pandemic has dragged on much longer than any of us ever thought it would. I mean, like, come on, it's still going here. So who knows what's in store for these two and their family. Number 6, Josh Brolin. Maybe he's not on the tabloids or news as much, but boy is Brolin one hell of an actor. I mean, clearly it's in his blood, as his father James Brolin is also one hell of an actor, but we're not here to talk about actors, Jared. We're talking about celebrities leaving Hollywood. And that's what Brolin did. He left Hollywood, so clearly I'm doing my job still. He made the move alongside his wife Catherine Boyd, and the two of them moved to her hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. In September of 2020, Boyd took to Instagram sharing the news of their recent move back to Atlanta. I quote her Instagram caption, "It's truly a beautiful, bizarre feeling moving back to my hometown. Not sure how long we will be here, but all I know is it feels so good to be home. Feels so good to have family stopping by on their way and hanging on our front porch. The two have a 1-year-old daughter and a son on the way." Halfway at 5, James Vanderbeek. The Dawson's Creek alumni took to Instagram letting everyone know he and his family were leaving Los Angeles for good. I quote, "Sometimes a fuller life begins with an empty house. Leaving Los Angeles, incredibly grateful for all the friends and memories we've made here. On to the next big adventure." Kind of wish he was like a Full House alumni with that caption, but anyways. His wife Kimberly let fans know they'd be relocating to Texas, where they're planning on raising their 5 kids. However, on the way east, they also decided to adopt 2 puppies, which made their family just a little bit bigger. Kimberly's Instagram caption reads, "Today we left our home in Beverly Hills to embark on a new adventure in Texas. As we began our 10-day road trip, we decided to adopt 2 new rescue pups from @Wagmore Pets to bring along and bond on this journey. Their names are Windsor, Blue-Eyed and Grey One, and Abel. Abel means breath, and we need a lot of breath right now. Rocky and Sky bond with them right away." On to number 4, Gigi Hadid. It seems the entire family, accompanied by Gigi's boyfriend Zayn Malik, moved to Pennsylvania of all places during all this. Shout out Philly, go Eagles. Got my Deshaun Jackson jersey hanging up right there. It seems the family actually has a farm of sorts and decided to live a more natural life while everyone else was being told to stay locked up inside. During an interview with Harper's Bazaar, which I probably said wrong, she said, I quote, "The farm has really made me remember and bring back to my life my most simple pleasures. It's allowed me to fill my days off with the little things that make me happy, like art, gardening, yoga, cooking, being outside, and spending time with my loved ones and animals without having to worry about things like what I'm wearing or how my hair looks or being photographed or seen that day. Being away from the city and the public eye makes me feel like a kid again, and that freedom has been really healing for me." Now at number 3, we got Kanye West. I mean, this is a weird one because as we know, the tabloids will print whatever they have to in order to sell. There were reports Kanye moved to Wyoming and was living there to deal with his mental health issues. Then more reports came out that Kim and Kanye were taking a break, leading to the producer and rapper to move out on his own. There were also claims that Kanye moved out to Wyoming to have an affair with Jeffree Star, but we did numerous videos on that already, so I'm not gonna get into that. Now, regardless of the why, I think it's more likely than not that this whole pandemic had something to do with the move. And now with talks of a divorce, who knows if Kanye will ever make a return to LA. At number 2, we got Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman. Now it seems when you make as much money as these two, homes can be bought for the price of a coffee. Nicole Kidman and her husband Keith Urban have homes in LA, Nashville, 2 homes in Australia, as well as a condo in Manhattan. They purchased a Beverly Hills home back in 2008, but it seems they've been spending the majority of their time in their Nashville presidential mansion, which they also bought in 2008 for a $3.4 million price tag. A source explained, I quote, "They've been spending a lot of time in Nashville. There they can give their kids a more normal upbringing. They have been talking about getting rid of the place in LA." That being said, it's important to note that these two have considered Nashville home for some time, although that could be due to the fact that they have a 0% income tax rate, which has allowed the country singer and actor to do quite well for themselves over the years. It's believed they have a net worth of a few $100 million, and as I mentioned before, have numerous properties in Sydney and Bunya Hill, Australia, Nashville, Beverly Hills, New York City, and who knows where else. However, given the circumstances, it's unclear if they're going to be keeping that LA pad. And just to clarify, they might have been living in LA, but put their home residence as Nashville to pay lower taxes. And in at number 1, Elon Musk. Quite recently, Elon decided to sell his 4-property compound, because that's the only word that could describe it, with his sights set on moving to Texas. After selling the Bel Air home for about $62 million, reports are claiming Elon is going to head down south, where he is also planning to build Tesla's new $1 billion factory. Safe to say this guy isn't hurting for cash. Flirting with the idea of moving out for a while, Elon explained if a team has been winning for too long, they do tend to get a little complacent, a little entitled, and they don't win the championship anymore. California has been winning for too long, and I think they're taking them for granted a little bit, them being business people and innovators. Following law enforcement forcing a shutdown of one of his factories in California, which he would then reopen anyways, leading to a COVID outbreak, actually, Elon decided enough was enough and he was going to move, even though that last part with the outbreak at his own factory was on him.